if you take what Dr. Fauci is saying, man,
you will have football. You will not have football. You should be able to conceivably play football at some point in the next 50 years. Before the world ends, conceivably, and I'm careful with this, conceivably you should be able to go outside with a friend for 2 or 3 minutes before you both disintegrate into ash.
That's exactly what it sounds like. He's trying to just be realistic, man. Shut bars down. Stop going to bars. Stop going to get places together. I mean, he is just...
By my calculation, every person in America has roughly, if you average it out, and these numbers are raw. I've been working on these numbers, but they're not exact. I like to be exact, but I do a lot of interviews, and I don't like doing interviews. But we have about 4.5 minutes to live. Average. Every one of us. Now, you do what you want with those 4.5 minutes. You say goodbye to your family, whatever it is. But football, no way. You will never see a football. I actually I talked to the manufacturers of the football, told them to shut it down, stop making footballs, because you will never play football ever again. It's inconceivable that football will be played on this planet, maybe another planet, if we get everybody together and then we get Elon Musk to shoot us to Saturn. We may be able to, if we put a biodome over Saturn and the rings, we'll shoot a couple people up there first in a trial run, and maybe by the start of the new year, we may be able to have football on Saturn, conceivably.
We can have football on Saturday. That means college football is a go-ahead.
No, colleges will be shut down for the rest of time. We are halting learning forever in buildings, and you will never go back to work. Yeah. And then the next day, everybody will be back to work in a matter of weeks. Oh, no, sorry, that's not what I meant.
I mean, his testimony yesterday was, it was eye-opening again. Yeah, and of course, there's political undertones with everything these days, but the numbers do speak. As as Governor Cuomo keeps saying, facts. You got to watch the facts. You got to look at the facts. And looking at the facts, man, the facts are speaking right now. There are surges and spikes going on all over the place.
Yeah, I know. I am worried about now other people coming to New York and having us spike up again, but we're still in a good spot around here, at least for the most part. So it's hard for me, like I've said before, because we were just going through hell week after week after week while everybody else was going on with their lives like nothing was happening and looking at us like, oh, we got to keep these New Yorkers out of here. New York's disgusting. New York's the epicenter. And you know what? They were right, because it was pretty bad. But now that we have gone, mostly through it, and hopefully we don't have another spike here, it's just like it's hard for me to put myself back in that mind frame again, like thinking like, wow, I mean, could we shut everything down again? I mean, it feels to me like we can live like this, the way we're living now, which is very cautiously but still doing things. I mean, I can't imagine what, if we got shoved right back into our houses again, how everybody would react. It'd be something else, I tell you.
Well, I just think what's going to end up happening, right? You would think that, as Adam Silver was pointing out, we know what's going on. We don't know how it's going to affect us. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but we do have to go through it. We have to kind of live through it. You can't just shut everything down, because we know that doesn't work. It doesn't work. It makes things worse, actually. It may stem the tide of the virus, which it is intended to do, but the unintended consequences that come along with it, and we've seen it over 3.5 months, aren't good either.
Yeah, I know, and that's really what is frightening to me about. Now, I know we're in a better position to be prepared for this because we have gone through months of it, and everybody has to adjust. You have to adjust. You have to learn how to live in a different world. for the time being, however long it lasts. But yeah, I mean, it's not good to see those graphs every day where, the rest of the world is on this downward slope, and then we're, on a little bit of a downward slope, and then straight across it was a plateau, and then right back up. I mean, that's not a good thing for the United States.
And here we go. And now baseball reports today. And we're all hopeful that we're going to get a baseball season. But the interesting thing will be now the testing. And like we talked yesterday, the Minnesota Twins have 2 older coaches in their mid-60s that they've told that they are not going to be a part of the team just to make sure that they stay healthy. I just, we're getting ready to now enter into – the first, I know there's the National Women's Soccer Leagues going on, and I guess you would say that they're the first team sport to get going, and they seem to be doing okay. But now we're getting into the real pro sports, the guys coming back, the guys actually going through testing. I don't know how many people have been tested and where they've been tested. I don't know if any of the players showed any signs of – I'm assuming they have. And I'm assuming that there are players that probably have been tested. They probably tested positive. We just don't know about it because they did it privately. They didn't do it with their teams. Right. So I'm assuming that there are some of those players that are coming back to work too. So this now is then going to lead into, the NBA and the NHL. The NHL may be removing Las Vegas as a hub city now simply because of the spikes there. They may be looking at other cities like Toronto and Edmonton. We also have J.C. Tretter, who is the NFLPA president for the Browns, expressing very eloquently, I might add, the issues that are confronting NFL players now as they get ready to go to training camp at the end of this month. So the one thing I will say, there's nobody talking for the college football players, though. Because college football players don't have they don't have a union.
A union, right.
They don't have anybody speaking for them. And so they're just thrown into the mix and just doing whatever they want to do or whatever the coaches and these schools want them to do.
Yeah, it's something else that, not to be depressing, but something else you have to look at, too, is are there as many deaths in relation to positive cases now as there were back in March? That's another thing. Because back in March when everybody – I mean, the numbers were staggering around here. Have we gotten to the point where – as you pointed out, maybe the virus isn't as strong as it once was? That's something else to take a look at. Are we seeing these numbers? Is there the same correlation and percentage of positive tests to those who pass away? Is another something to really pay attention to, because if more people are getting it and getting through it and there's fewer people that are succumbing to it, I mean, that's another factor that people need to take into account.
And just know this, that every year – we deal with the flu, and every year, for those of us who get the flu shot, sometimes still get the flu because it's a different strain of flu that we end up getting. So the flu just doesn't end. I mean, the flu is still here. The question is whether or not they can end COVID-19, or does it just go away by itself over time because it weakens? That's a big question that's still confronting science and medicine. And they're still trying to answer all these questions, and they still don't have those answers. And as robust a thought that there is going to be a vaccine, either from the president or Dr. Fauci or any other doctor out there, there are other doctors that would tell you that the herd immunity is what's really, really going to be important here to end it. But then again, there's another doctor or scientist that you'll see that will dispute that claim. So we are in the midst of like a ping pong ball back and forth. You hear from Dr. Gottlieb, and Dr. Gottlieb will tell you we're estimating maybe potentially another 15 to 20,000 deaths in the United States alone. So those aren't numbers to sneak to take lightly. Those numbers are serious, and that's why these players now coming back, they all want to make their money. The teams want to make their money. The colleges want to make their money because it is a business. No matter what you say, it's a huge business. And I think that, players are willing to put themselves at some sort of risk in order to play and to make money. So, today's going to start like a whole new chapter, and we're going to be watching now how many players end up testing positive and to see whether or not they come through it okay, and hopefully they will.
Yeah, and that is the only thing that's going to derail this season at this point. We thought it was going to be money, but now it is the virus being as strong as it is in certain states.